Our server connectivity is built, but we have a similar problem now with the network. We don't have any connectivity. We don't see any connections on the Fabric Interconnect in order to make that happen. In this video, we're going to cover how you activate those network links, as well as how you bundle them into port channels. So here we are in UCS Manager, and we'd expect that, hey, we need to configure network upstream, so let's go to the LAN tab and make our configuration changes there. And we're going to get there eventually, but first of all, just like with connecting to the servers, we need to start on the Equipment tab. In fact, we need to do the same type of thing. We need to go to the Fabric Interconnects, and because these are running in end host mode, it needs to know which connections go upstream to the network and which connections go downstream to the servers. In this case, we're going to get on and configure ports 1 and 2 as uplink ports. And that tells it that that goes to the network. Again, we're virtualizing as an end host. We don't need to learn MAC addresses upstream. The behavior is very different for the network connections as opposed to the server connections. And so we see that these ports come online, and that's good. We have to come to the Fabric Interconnect B and do the same thing. We're going to put ports 1 and 2 into uplink mode, configure them as uplink ports. And since there's only two, we do the right-click thing on the graphical user interface here. We could go over to the physical ports and expand this and do it this way again, but no need to take that shortcut in this case. Now that we've configured the uplinks, let's go take a look at the LAN tab over here. So we'll load this up and take a look. So the first thing we want to do on the LAN tab is to get these interfaces into a port channel configuration. And the way we do this is we see under the two fabrics, Fabric A and Fabric B. So again, Fabric A is the network connected to Fabric Interconnect A. Same thing with Fabric B, Fabric Interconnect B. All right, so we have to do this individually. So the port channel on Fabric A, we don't have any port channels to try to expand it. We don't have anything here. We do, however, see that we have two uplink interfaces going here. So we need to put those into a port channel. So we're going to create a port channel. We can give it whatever number and name that we want. So we'll maybe call this PC-A, give it an ID of 10. So that would be like port channel 10 in this environment. Hit next. And we should see this populate with the uplink interfaces that we saw over on the left. So we can hold Control or Shift to get all of those in one, move them over, and hit Finish. And that's all there is to it. So we have put them into a port channel. You know, again, we have an error here because we don't have the upstream connections added yet, so that's no problem. And we're going to come down to Fabric B and do the same thing. So we see that the uplink interfaces are here. Right-click on port channels, create a port channel. Maybe we'll call this one 20. Technically, it could be 10 also. I mean, again, the two Fabric Interconnects have two completely different configuration sets, so don't have to worry too much about overlapping. Call this PCB. Hit next. And as far as ports are concerned, there we go. It loads. Move them over, hit Finish. And we've configured or created that. So in the same way here now, we've got those errors because we don't have the upstream network configured. No problem. But you know, one thing we can notice here is that the uplink Ethernet interfaces, we've lost these. There are no longer individual uplink Ethernet interfaces configured in this environment. They've all been moved into the port channels. So something to keep in mind that when we look at configurations, we'll see this with VLANs and VLAN groups as we move forward here, that if we have port channels, all we're going to see is the port channel. We don't see the port channel and its individual member interfaces because those have been removed from the uplink Ethernet interfaces category. So really quickly, what we have here is we have Fabric Interconnect A and Fabric Interconnect B as individual devices. So we don't have the capability of, for example, if we have an upstream, maybe one switch we're connecting to, again, we can't bundle all of that together. Fabric Interconnect A and Fabric Interconnect B are unable to do that. So the best we can come up with is a port channel to A and a port channel to B, and that's all well and good. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Fabric Interconnects, they automatically use LACP. So if we configure a port channel here and we do like mode on, that is not going to work. Okay, we cannot use mode on. We have to use, in the Cisco world, it's mode active, but we have to activate LACP on the upstream interfaces. Now again, if this is a virtual port channel environment, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to look, again, we've got A and B, so here's our Fabric Interconnects. And so again, a virtual port channel has two distinct upstream Nexus devices, and these Nexus devices are going to extend down like this into a virtual port channel that goes to FIA, and a virtual port channel comes down to FIB. So again, a virtual port channel here and a virtual port channel here. We can't do one giant virtual port channel. One per Fabric Interconnect is the best that we can come up with. Just like with our server configuration, we need to manually add network connectivity to each Fabric interconnect, and from there we can add them into port channels, remembering to use LACP on the upstream network. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.